So I want to focus this interview on state policy that impacts community college students across Colorado. Many are working, commuting, juggling family responsibilities while also trying to stay on track financially.
Yes.
If you were governor, what is one state policy you would prioritize that directly impacts life for community college students?
Well, I think when it comes to, so there's a lot of layers when it comes to money, where it goes into higher education, how higher education works. We're not putting, in my opinion, we're not putting enough money into the community college system. And here's one of the ways you can do that is actually help the community colleges interact with the schools, the high schools. We're already seeing that to some degree. We need to ramp that up quite a bit. But I also think we can give grants and assistance to adults with children, adults that have been out of school so many years, and you can build some criteria for that gives them special grants. Interestingly, my wife just finished her bachelor's degree, and she started school 35 years ago, and she just finished that now. So this is right down our vein right now.
For many students, the cost of college is not just tuition. It can include fees, books, transportation, food, and childcare. What part of that affordability problem would you focus on first?
Well, I think the bigger picture is going to be some of the fees. Those are things that it's coming from the top down rather than from the bottom up. So fees, different kinds of regulations that limit certain kind of educational things. There are already some programs out there to help parents with childcare when it comes to this, but I think you can manage that a little bit better. Some of these programs could be on the campuses themselves, some of the childcare programs. But I think first you have to streamline, you have to take out some of the fees and fines from that.
Community colleges are connected to several statewide issues: jobs, affordability, and local economic growth. How should you decide whether the state is doing enough to support them?
So this is where I think if we put more emphasis on the local schools or community colleges rather than just higher education in general, I think we're seeing a major shift in our country, but also a major shift in Colorado right now, where we're seeing more students going into community college systems and also into trade schools. Some of those trade schools are based out of community colleges. We're seeing this huge dynamic shift. And we just saw where the H.R. 1, or what's called the One Big Beautiful Bill, or whatever the name is now allowing the Pell Grant to be used specifically for trade schools, where some of these are based out of community colleges, specifically the tech/community college cooperation, which I love. And that's where we need to start really putting our money into, instead of just assuming that higher education at the traditional four-year schools and those things, that they're actually getting the job done. I don't think they are like the community colleges are. The community colleges are focusing much more on education nowadays than I believe the traditional four-year colleges are.
A lot of students go to community college because they want a new job or a new career path. What role should community colleges play in your workforce plan?
So that also can include businesses. We've already seen some models of this, some very small beginning models of this, but I think we can expand this quite a bit, where businesses actually get connected with the community colleges. And so the community college will provide degree plans in certain arenas that tie in directly with the businesses. Then the businesses can give grants and scholarships and coordination, and then all you have to have is a commitment afterwards. I'm going to commit to work for this company for 3-4 years or whatever, and they give some grants and scholarships along the way. It's a great partnership. We're seeing some beginnings of that, but I think we need to put a lot more emphasis on those things.
Many students start at a community college and hope to transfer to a 4-year university. What should the state do to make that path easier and less expensive?
This is one of the most simple things that can be done by the state. If you are in a community college it doesn't matter which community, but this is, obviously in the state of Colorado. If you're in a community college, I think that you should automatically get certain scholarships to continue that education if you continue in a state college in the state of Colorado. And so it's a natural progression. They've proved themselves for 2 years. They know that they can do this. I was an example of this. I went to a state college when I first graduated high school. I actually went to the Navy and then went to a state college, and I failed all my classes. I failed out of the school, and it's because I wasn't ready for that. I hadn't committed to that. That was just what I was supposed to do. Well, when you've got students that go to community college first and then transfer into a state college, their stick-to-it numbers are huge compared to the average freshman that comes in. So why wouldn't we naturally give some of those grants and scholarships to continuing their education rather than starting fresh started off as a freshman?
A student can be academically ready but still struggle to stay enrolled because of rent, food, gas, transportation. What do you think is the role of state government when it comes to helping these students stay stable enough to finish?
Well, that's where it becomes tricky with the balance between some kind of grants or scholarships or even financial assistance that is like loans. And that's where I think anything we can do to keep people from having to be pushed into the loan category, I think we've got to figure out how to do that, because the loans are what hurts everybody long term, and it hurts the entire system. So you've got people that are graduating and they may never pay off their loans according to just a standard job that they would get. Most people, as they progress, they can do better. But I think we've got to stay away from the loan track, try to figure out how to have some good financial advisement that's going on. A lot of times these students walk in and they have educational advisors and maybe a little bit of financial advisors, but really the financial advisors are pushing them into these loans, pushing these other things. And we need to have some not part of the machine advisors that can help them financially, because there is actually a lot of stuff out there. When all three of my kids were going to college, we were scouring everything for grants. My daughter went to, we had 2 different sets. She took some classes with community college, and it was amazing how much stuff out there, how many resources are not tapped every single year. We're talking hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars that are never touched because people don't know that they're there. So some of this could be the community colleges could do some canvassing in communities and some local advertisement for some of the stuff that's going on, and then that helps the whole system. That helps everybody along the way.
Transportation can decide whether a student gets to class, work, or clinical training. How should the state make transportation more workable for students?
Yeah, this has been one that I've actually argued for in a few different ways. I think we're giving financial help for people with transportation that don't necessarily need it and don't fall into the categories, for me personally, that I believe that should warrant some financial help for transportation. Students, specifically community college students, not necessarily the traditional 4-year degree, but community college students, I think we should give some bus passes and some financial help along the way. They're the ones that theoretically, not overgeneralizing, but theoretically, most of your community college people are not straight out of high school. Some are, but these are the parents that are going back to school. These are the people that have the jobs they're already part of the community. Let's help them get some bus passes. Interestingly, for every dollar that is spent right now on transit in the Colorado system, 19 extra dollars are being spent by the state to get that transportation. So let's give them half of every bus ride or something like that. They're still contributing more than what is being contributed right now for that transportation. And this helps the students and it helps the community colleges.
Community college students are often not traditional full-time students. Many are parents, full-time workers, veterans, or people with family responsibilities. What should the state do to help create more flexible paths for these students?
Yeah, some of the things we've already talked about, but also I think we can put some emphasis on this. You know, it's interesting how much marketing and how much push goes into the traditional four-year schools. And again, the number of students that would start at a four-year school and actually finish their degree is percentage-wise much lower than people that start in community college, and specifically if they start later in life, which is what you're addressing. That when they start later in life, the chances of them finishing their degree are off the charts high, almost 100%. Because they are older, they understand things, they have the children at home. This is something that they've thought a lot about, and they're looking very closely at how their resources are going to be able to benefit them short term going to school, but then also what that translates into after you get out of school. For somebody that goes into a nursing program, they've been working at a minimum wage job, and they've done the numbers, and they know if they sacrifice for a few years, that their entire future is so much better financially, but also socially, culturally, everything gains at that point. So I think we need to put some more marketing, some more attention to help these community colleges get their word out, specifically in their local communities where most of the people are coming from. Sometimes, well, a lot of times, your traditional four-year schools, those people are coming from out of state. They're coming from all over. They're transferred. They live there. When you look at community college, these are people that live near that community college, are invested in their community at large. And so let's invest in that.
So if you became governor, how should community college students judge after 1 year whether your administration helped them?
I think that would be pretty easy. Of course, you can look in a general sense. This is much stronger conversations than just how many people are going to community college after that. But I think you can address that number. What is the overall number? Did it grow? How many people are in community colleges? But I also think you can look at this from the economy. One of the things when I'm governor is we're going to fix the economy. We're going to help people to own homes, and this is one of the things that maybe doesn't get talked about. But when somebody buys a home, lives in a community, the chances of them going to a community college and getting all the way through and finishing is very strong, because they're part of the community. Where we're going to make it easier economically, we're going to make it easier across the board in how I look at things. I think a lot of our academies, our traditional four-year schools, I think they're buying into some things that are not healthy, and they're doing a little bit more indoctrination than they are educating. Community colleges don't struggle with that in the same way. They've got a job to do. They're very grassroots, if you want to look at higher education, white collar, blue collar, they're the blue collar that's going to get in, roll up their sleeves, and do the hard work to get these people educated. And then also job placement afterwards. They're in their community. So I think you can look at all of those metrics. Is the economy better? Is the community college cultural economy better? Is the amount of people going to community college, the amount of money that they're receiving, and all kinds of different things that we can pull back from some of the 4 years and put into the community college. I just am a strong advocate for community college, and that is tied together with the trade schools. I think they really do go more hand in hand than the 4-year schools.
Community college students are usually not treated as a major political audience. Why should they believe that your campaign is paying attention to them?
Well, I think this is pretty interesting, because I would say if you took all of higher education, 4-year schools, your community college, and let's throw trade schools in there. If you look at community colleges and trade schools, they're going to be much closer to me politically than the most of your traditional 4-year schools. I think I'm speaking directly to them when I'm talking about families. And like I said, my wife just finished her degree. This is something I'm passionate about. I do have a terminal degree, and so I have been through higher education to the highest you can go. But when I see what's happening in the traditional 4-year schools, and I see what's happening in community colleges, I'm more proud and excited to see what we're going to see over the next handful of years under my administration with the two things, community colleges, trade schools.
So from just watching the debates, it's unclear why you decided to join the governor race. Why did you decide to join the governor race?
This has been a long journey for me. I never thought I would be doing this. I became a representative 4 years ago, and really was being pushed by people to consider this. I really did a lot of praying about this. Am I supposed to do this? Because I'm a pastor. I've been a pastor since I was 20. From sitting in the House of Representatives for 4 years and watching the brokenness and the corruption, here's a simple way to answer the question. Look at any metric in the state of Colorado right now. We're not doing good. There's not one metric you can say, oh, wow, we're advancing. We're really doing the right thing by the Constitution, by people, whatever. That we're attacking everything, and crime, economy, it doesn't matter what it is. And so for me, this is, I can't sit on the sidelines and complain about it. I can't just be a state representative and make videos and complain if I'm not willing to get in and really do this. And so I did go back to really praying about this. Really, I know what I need to change. I know what needs to change in the state of Colorado. I know how I can be a part of this. And it's just a matter. I know I'm a leader. I know I'm a reformer. And I'm not seeing anybody else do it for the Democrats or the Republicans. And so I just decided I'm going to do this. And if I get elected, which I do think I have a very, very good chance of getting elected, if I get elected, then I will bring that reformer mentality that I'll root out the corruption. I'll get rid of the brokenness, the fraud, the waste, abuse. If we just do that in the state of Colorado, we're going to fix a lot of problems in every single arena. Of course, that includes also the community college context and the trade schools and everything. But we've got to clean up Colorado. And if we don't do that, we're going to continue to just slide down into this pit. And so that was enough. I'm looking and processing this and saying, well, somebody's got to do it. I didn't see anybody that was going to do that. And at one point, we had 26 gubernatorial candidates, Republican candidates on the governor's side. And I'm thinking, these guys aren't going to do this. I don't want it to be business as usual. What happens is we elect a Democrat and they protect all of their friends and buddies and all of this from their corruption and all that. Then we elect a Republican, which we haven't done in a while. And then they protect all of their friends. That's not me on either side. I'm going to get in and I'm going to kick the doors in, and we're going to get rid of this corruption and fraud and waste, abuse, and grooming and all of the stuff that goes along with that.
Colorado has been dominated by the Democratic Party for decades. What makes you think, as a Republican, but also your background as a Christian pastor, what does it give Coloradans something that they would want to vote for you?
Well, we're seeing this election cycle is very, very unique, specifically with this subject, because we're seeing all over the state where it's not just politics as usual. It's not like Democrat, Republican, all this kind of stuff. We're seeing Democrats all over the state of Colorado that are saying, we can't keep doing this. Our state is crashing and burning. And then when you add specifically crime, the economy, but when you specifically add the grooming that is happening with the transgender ideology, there is so much pushback within the Democrats. 85% of the state says that they are not okay with boys and girls sports. Well, I ran that as a bill this last spring, and the Democrat leadership in the House voted against it unanimously. That is not the will of the people. That is not what we're seeing out in our numbers, our statistics out on the street. When you're saying 85% of the state is not okay, and that's just one of about 10 subjects that all fall into the same category. We're seeing the same with unaffiliated. They're not talking Democrat or Republican. They're talking family values, protecting children, these kind of things. Every single demographic that we're looking at across the state, they are saying we're tired of this. We will be willing to elect a Republican governor if they're a strong leader that will hold to their values, hold to their principles, and not change once they get elected. And I've proven 4 years in the House of Representatives that's who I am. Even if you don't like all my policies or how I stand on everything, there's no doubt about who I am when it comes to consistency and fighting against the brokenness, fighting against the corruption and those things. And I believe this is our year. The Hispanic community is moving to the right. The under 30 crowd is moving to the right. You put all this together, and I'm going to be the next governor of Colorado.
So you already touched on this, but could you talk a bit about your wife, who you said that went back to school, and how did that go for her?
It went really well. So what happened is she wanted to get a master's degree in organizational leadership, and we kind of laugh about this now. But she came to me one day. She said, "Okay, that's what I want to do." I'm like, "Hey, let's do this." Well, I've been wanting her to go back to school for, 35 years, right? Since her and I went together, and then she came to me about a week later, and she was mad, and she said, "Do you know that they make you get your bachelor's degree before you can get your master's degree?" And I said, "I did know that." And she only had a little bit left on her bachelor's degree, but I said, "Just go knock it out." She was kind of discouraged, that was rethinking. I said, "No, just go knock that out." And then after we finish this governor's race, it'll be much easier for her when I'm governor to just go back to school and get that master's degree she's looking for. And she's very intelligent. She's such an amazing leader. She's strong in every single area. And so to watch her knock that bachelor's degree out in about a year, I was very, very proud of her. And then looking forward to the next step. She's a powerhouse, and she's also a major part of our campaign in ways that I didn't even realize she was going to be. But yeah, I'm proud of her going back to school, proud of her finishing all of this, and we'll just see what the future looks like for her.